Either way, the knife round is just finished, so we're going into Vertigo right now, Pronogo.
Absolutely the case. We'll have to see which side was picked. Looks to be Attax sticking it out on the CT side, as we mentioned earlier. Let's see what the buys come in. Of course, I'm mostly being watchful of Sangal specifically. Look at this. 2 HEs already, 2 flashes, 2 smokes. We saw P250s in all of their other T-side pistols. Not the case here. So our match is indeed live. We've got Attax with plenty of utility of their own, almost mirroring the buy. Stefan with an additional HE and a kit. Kevlar only on 2.
No Molotov, sandbags becomes the issue if anybody on Attax wants to play it. Scrunk instead, aggressive, tagged off the angle, a cautionary shot down to 31, falls to the back lines, and now needs the radio in for reinforcements as the smokes are placed everywhere. Sangal, onwards, upwards. Clears the sandbags, that's with the nades. There's nobody playing inside, so the Glocks can creep closer. Emor, the star of the first map, bounces to ignition above the boxes, ready for the bomb to be planted. That's by engine. Still the smokes. Attax wants to maneuver in early. They are finding frags. Traded left, right, and center. Major has the angle towards the scaffold. And Crimbo, as the smokes fades, he reveals himself and runs out of ammo in the meantime. Everybody out in the open. Crimbo realistically can't find too much. Needs the headshots now. Still 50 HP to play with. And out in the open, that's not going to happen. They are whittling him down short by short. And Logic Man should be able to take the swing and find the win. Right over the top. These boxes so messy. And a headshot to finish.
Sangal thrive in those chaotic mid-rounds as long as the post-plant makes it happen. And they did onto A super fast as well, catching Attax off guard, who elected not to leverage sandbags. As you mentioned there, Squid, there were no Molotovs for Sangal. They would have had to expend double nades just to clear that position, and that's most of their utility right there. So a very brilliant, fast-paced round coming up from this T side. Turks formerly in control here. 2 MAC-10s and 2 Galils ready to contest in this bonus.
They'll play it towards ramp. Panics. Initial. Oh, it's the shot. That gives space to the Desert Eagle just to find a body shot for that frag. Emor gone. Such a key member to eliminate.
They need to fire back here. They need to get more than just one frag. They need to maybe recover some of those weapons, even if it is a Galil or an AK, especially. Attax slowing things down with the utility that they did bring into this map, and we know how powerful that Scout-Deagle combo can be. Just one bullet required from either gun, and you're down. Of course, Emor dropping such a valid member of this squad as well.
The next member wrapped over, Crimbo. He's going for the rotate towards this A bomb site, allowing Scrunk to sit on short. Desert Eagle up close. Here comes the peak. Resorted off of the back of hearing those smokes go overhead for a second. Paz needs to trade, but just grabs the bomb instead, throws away the mollies, and nobody forced into the open has the response. They can take the angle and the face. He hits a body shot. That's more than enough damage. So as they fall back into a more positional triangulation, Logic Man cannot realistically open this up without a flashbang. Throws it down on the floor. That's Eagle firing through once again, and Paz doesn't have the HP to work with.
Beautiful fire back from Attax. Look at that. They tie us up so early as well. This is exactly what we saw on Nuke, remember. They answered back, except it was on the T side. In this case, you reset the economy of your opponents, and now the Germans can start to break out the money. Look at this. We've got 3 SMGs. They're rolling in the cash here. AUG as well onto Panics, taking advantage of the scope. And just pistols for Sangal. They're going to upgrade those, get a little bit of utility here. See if they can get some cheeky action. Maybe make some of their CT opponents bleed.
I'll play up close to do so. Nade. Oh, nades, plural. Both of them connect, along with the MP9 spraying through the smoke, means that Attack's a massive advantage before the pistols can even chip and chime through. Over these smokes, you know that Crystal's playing aggressive. How are you going to take him down? Exposes his position. They now know that he's in the corner, so able to trade him, but the bomb goes down as a retort. And Attax have done enough to hold this one at bay.
Yeah, how quickly are the rest of these players going to make their move? Attax's defenders can start to clamp down on this A site, but the longer the clock strikes 0, oh, the longer they have that uncertainty brewing in their minds, because the bomb has not yet been spotted. In fact, no players have even made noise. Maybe just the weapon shuffle? Crimbo seems to have a sixth sense with that HE. We'll find Emor as well.
That's brutal. So brutal. 35 points of health. He was the man to grab the MP9 as well, so he has to rely on the Tech 9 to actually do some damage. Heads back to B where Stefan's holding. They've still got 30 seconds. Molly for mid. That won't be the approach. Instead, the ramp. Emor trying to run the distraction for the bomb to go elsewhere. If he can find a kill here, maybe he wraps Stefan back to A. Can't see that happening. He's got an MP9 in hand, and they won't spot the bomb in the meantime. So this Tech 9 does find the shot. There's a plant. Extra money for Major. Smokes away. How does he get out of this one? Cannot grab hold of that Tech 9 and realistically only has that pistol to work with. 2 kills already. Needs everything, and I don't think he's going to find it locked inside of the corner. The window position spotted. An alternate Attax a second.
I was closer than it realistically should have been. Sangal get a bomb plant where they absolutely had no business doing it in that 2-on-3. Especially off the back of Major's running Tech 9 shot, catching the defender off guard, and Attax now. They have that economic threat. They just don't have enough to fully invest. There's certainly not going to be a sniper coming out in this round. So Sangal do well to manage the economy. Would realistically be a bonus. Now essentially has to be. Either that or some limited utility coming out from the defenders. Only against pistols off the back of the bomb plant. Sangal don't want to hard invest. Certainly can't get a sniper out on their team either.
Oh no, we talked about the snipers so much on Vertigo. Over towards the ramp especially. Scrunk, he's going to take the initial face. It's with that MP9 with nobody responding. He will finally a headshot, but they've incurred so much damage.
That's a brilliant play as well, with Scrunk charging forward, the only compromised weapon on this roster, remember.
That's a 3-pointer.
Aid usage has been so good, hasn't it? Attacks, they have the protocols. Emor's got the headshot so far with the Tech 9, but he needs to do way more.
That's something I wasn't realistically expecting to see on Vertigo, to be perfectly honest with you. Alternate Attacks, yes, they had some nade setups on Nuke. That's what you'd expect. It's been in the pool for so long. Vertigo, though, they don't have a massive win rate. This is certainly a Sangal advantageous map.
Yes, again, if Attacks win on Vertigo of all maps, especially after dropping what should be their home turf of Nuke as well, that will be a bit of an upset victory for the Germans. Still early days to tell, only up by 2 rounds. We get into the 5th. Still no snipers on either team. 5 rifles for Sangal. Plenty of utility as well. All across the board. It's ramp again.
I think they really need to rely on Emor here. If he can't find those opening kills, it's going to be a very tricky half as that money starts to build. Hasn't done so yet. Scrunk, Crimbo, $750 between the two of them.
Surprising from Scrunk to have so little money. He must have dropped or something to that effect, because look at his kills. He's already up to 6. And some of those were with the MP9, remember, so he's been farming it up. Adding padding to the Attax economy. Sangal flashing themselves in onto the site. Emor needs to find this opening.
Certainly does. He's got the sidelining angle and all of the information along with damage. They only need 1 HE to bounce into the corner. Paz needs to respond with it. Doesn't have that in hand. So allows Scrunk a more backwards avenue of approach to dodge the HE as a retort. They've got players everywhere to deny this bomb from going down, and Panic takes the second swing as well. Logic in the open. It's all over.
The primary sniper in Panics, making the flank from short happen. That was so brilliant from him coming in. He clears out 2, including the bomb planter. At that point, Sangal have no chance in the round. They've brought it down so low on time as well, so realistically, they don't have the options. Now, 2 sets of Kevlar, only a single flashbang on engine. Otherwise, it's 4 Deegs for Sangal. Still no AWP means rifles can hold these pistols at bay every day of the week.
Crystal initial face. They're constantly spraying these smokes towards the bottom of ramp. If Sangal Esports sit behind them, there's every opportunity to be dealt a lot of damage. There's some. Follow-up. And inside of Hell. Crimbo, Stefan, there's the conversion. He can backtrack knowing that they've done exactly enough against the pistols. They don't need to take the risks, instead allowing the full HP AK-47 to take the face. It's Panics a second.
This is clean from Attacks. Dominant first half already on the cards. A little bit of sprinkle of Dust 2 right now in the server. Sangal need to fire back in the next gun round, and looking at their economy, they might not be equipping themselves with the best tools to do so. Paz now with the bomb. Single flash. Ooh, lovely first shot. Needs to do more, though.
Lots more. 4, in fact. That's what's on the cards. These 1vx situations so incredibly hard to win against alternate attacks. They close them out the overwhelming majority of the time. Crystal playing aggressive. Maybe if he sprays through this wood. There's an opportunity, an avenue. Crystal, he makes the mistake. There's a backup, but that nade over the top might actually connect. It's a little too short. Dunks inwards instead of onwards behind the pillar. Crimbo holding it. Has a headshot angle and has a headshot as well to follow it up.
I don't like the way that Attax played that late man setup. That was a 1-on-5 potentially on the cards if they keep giving them those isolated 1v1s. Honestly, I expected Paz to maybe steal away a bomb plant again the same way that Major did. That would have equipped them with even more this time around, but it's still enough for Attax to get up to 5, and the AWPs will come out on both sides. We don't often see Logic Man coming into this one with the AWP on T side, at least not on Vertigo. Be our first time seeing it. They need to change something up. This might be what matters.
It's the first time he's had the cash and maybe playing things towards that longer ranged angle of A. Right to the peaks. Crimbo, second time in a row that he's gone for it into the hell.
Yeah, what do you realistically expect from this scenario? Man up for Sangal. First time so far. They need to connect off of this one and get up to 2.
Crystal playing aggressive. He can actually spot information through the scaffolding. Heavy damage dealt as a response. Those nades brutal. Talked about it so many times. And with Major in behind, they have no idea that the flank is right behind them. Skrunk walks into it. Doesn't have any information. Leaves the AWP to get aggressive. Watching both angles. Panics only 2. That's not good enough through the smoke because he needed everything. And instead the bomb will go down and Stefan to save. Potentially. He still wants to go in for this one. And both of the players off the back of that headshot are low. 42 and 11. They've barely got half HP to work with between the two of them. An Engine holding the angle. What a shot!
Brilliant flick from him. I thought for sure Stefan was going to get clotheslined, but the fast jump means you have to wall bang. That's exactly what we see from the Sangal esports team.
That's unbelievable.
So quick. And so crucial as well. You give Stefan an inch, she might have taken the whole round there. Now, down by 3 rounds are Sangal still. Alternate attacks, calling this tack. Trying to slow the momentum just a bit. Does mean that they have to consider their options. And I say options plural because they've got 2 of them. 2 AWPs on the server, Crimbo and Panics. This is exactly the setup we saw on Dust 2, which remember was a dominant 10-5 half for alternate attacks. The Germans, firing on all cylinders so far in Vertigo, need to continue to take us there. The only compromise realistically, MP9 on Skrunk, who's been very impactful with that lesser weapon, even in gun rounds where he can be pushed in lower ramp. Question is whether or not Sangal have already figured that one out.
I think it's a telltale sign that they don't want to send Crimbo aggressive either. He's been playing down inside of Hell, not catching Sangal esports off guard anymore. Predictable, perhaps. 5-2. And an appropriate time to call a pause, I might add. As soon as you lose a round, you get the double AWP set up. This is where you have to build it up. Otherwise, you've got no money, and Sangal can start bringing this one back.
The main question that I have is how much of a read does Major have on his opponent's economy? Does he know that the CTs have enough for 2 AWPs? This might really catch them off guard, especially if Skrunk sounds off the MP9. It might sound like it's a bit of a mixed buy here. It certainly is, but certainly more on the powerful side. Attax now, taking position. Certainly one of those AWPs will be going towards ramp, where 4 Ts are already here to respond. Oh, wow, this is fast.
Wow, they'll play right in front of these smokes. And Emor and Paz, they do everything, both fully blind. Those flashbangs, perfect. One from Logic Man as well. Everybody was rendered useless, immobile, leaving Panics the sole defense. The double ups still in play. And Crimbo will go for the rotate as well. Sangal will have to walk into both of the scopes if they're going to take this A-bomb site. But knowing where Panics is playing from leaves Logic Man to try and take this face. He finds it.
He had the angle. Logic Man knew the tendency of Panics. Maybe data mined, perhaps. Now playing from sandbags, scoped up on the retake.
Oh, wow. Misses that shot as well. Leaves Stefan to try and level up the numbers. Sangal still have a minute on the clock. Remember, that was incredibly speedy. So playing on ramp, they have an approach elsewhere and should know that both of the rifles are here on the A site. Baits out with the bomb plant. That's a thank you given away. Reveals the nade. They've got the angle. 45 seconds. Major going for a second slash. Maybe even needs to go for the cross. He's planting it in the open, and that smoke is fading. Need to get out in the meantime. There's a flash over the top. Stefan, quick swing. Oh, finds both. There's the headshot onto Engine, leaving it just down to pass behind the sandbags. He's got the A-bomb site under wraps, but for how long? There's only one kit on the server. That's down to Stefan. And with that AWP watching the line, it's looking the wrong way. They need to stay very jointed. What a shot through the sandbags.
The wallbang from Crimbo to seal the deal. I thought for sure a sandbags clutch was on the cards. Sangal, the round, almost stole it away. Instead, the defenders will stay in the lead. 4-round lead, of course, for the Germans. And now they get to rebuy into this round. Certainly some more concessions on the cards after losing one of their two ops. So Sangal now have a decision to make. They go for the 5 rifle buys. Certainly no greater weaponry available. Do they continue hitting A? They had success initially, but it fell apart afterwards.
Certainly did. Stefan loves to get aggressive by these stairs. We saw Crimbo do it earlier, but with the flash placed, Scrunk, he plays aggro towards the ramp as well, leaving space for the MP9 to find even more. Sangal don't know where this aggression is coming from, Pronogo.
All the smokes, they block the visibility. What can you do if you're Sangal? You're lost. You're flashed. You're smoked off and you're dead.
It's so dejecting. There's no way out when you've got an MP9 spraying all of the bullets through the smoke, all 30. I held back by more. Engine can't get into this one. They should watch this smoke, and even boosting on top of Big Box. There is no way to do this, even with a flashbang. Yes, Crystal's blind, but he keeps the angle, and how does Engine know to check this? Maybe if he spots the trajectory of the nade, it drops down, and another smoke will take more time off the clock. All 3 defenders are here, and the AWP is firing through for another.
That's brutal. You can't just do that. Certainly not on live TV. Attax. Just playing with their food there. Sangal, fallen victim. Fallen prey. Now, economy. Once again in the doldrums. Single buy an Emor's AK-47. Head armor. No nades. Everybody else on Tech 9s. Okay, Sangal placing their trust in their star player. Remember, Emor is the prize rifler. We'll be towards B. Finally, a change of pace. Greeted by the nade of Stefan.
That is not a friendly greeting whatsoever, is it? Back to 50 HP, relegated on the B-bomb site. You would realistically think that he would have a chance in these scenarios, and still finds the headshot anyway. Traded. Stefan's got the back angle. A single Molotov can flush him out if he doesn't have a smoke. He does. Throws it down below. Leaves Panics the space to find another one. And Sangal have been held at bay on B. Has Engine. What can you do? Only the one Tech 9 single AK. That's retrieved from Angor to play with. 70 seconds. Smokes again, and alternate attacks are here. Trying to trade up to the rifles in the meantime as well. That's messy from Scrunk. Doesn't want to give away a freebie. Quite literally on B. They've got a boost as well. Playing with the AK-47 round on top of the action. Scrunk wants to take the peek. I'll look elsewhere. The bomb is still watching, waiting. Paz down below. They are in dire straits and definitely needing a mistake. And that Molotov lands perfectly. It burns both of them out.
So beautiful from Scrunk. His utility usage and his positioning with that SMG has been on point. It looks like they don't even bother recovering the AK, at least not for Scrunk. Stefan will take it instead, and he earned it with that hold. That was crazy. Still no secondary AWP. Scrunk instead relegated to that money-making duty, and he's doing it. 11 frags, most with that MP9, remember. And Panics is back. We talked about this earlier, Squid. The fact that he went missing on Nuke was one of the key instruments for Sangal to disassemble that defense. They can't do so on Vertigo. 6-round deficit.
We know as well that alternate attacks, their weak side, it's CT. So them finding 8 this early is so impactful, and it's all off the back of this double man play. Scrunk Panics.
Not even any bomb plants recently for Sangal. They can invest into this round. It'll be 5 rifles again. Couple of concessions in the utility. They lose this one without a bomb plant especially. It will only be the loss bonus.
It's been dire.
Logic Man. His AWP's just been completely missing, right? He afforded it in 1 round. Just got dunked by nades. Barely had any impact.
Mid. Mollies. Major. He gets tagged. Oh no, it's the utility every time, Pronogo. We talked about it towards the A-bomb site. Those HEs are doing at least 50 to 100 damage in every single round. There's another one. This one isn't impactful.
Crystal's got the right idea, though. Attax just seem to have the read. Maybe they've studied Sangal's Vertigo. At the very least, they've been working on their own game. Engine now ticked down from 2 ticks of that Molotov. Paz opens up. Okay, Sangal might be able to fire back here. It's instantly traded.
On top of those metal railings, Scrunk, he's got the angle on the B site. Normally, this time it's towards A. They have been playing a very mobile defense, I might add. So towards short, into this one. He will neutralize it with the M4A1S.
Instant headshot as well. Scrunk, he's on form.
Certainly
Another
is.
player that sort of went missing on Nuke. Finding his impact now on the scoreboard, and especially in the economy.
Oh, yes. And putting a primary weapon into his hands for one of the first times. We talked about his impact with the MP9 when he plays a more default setup with this A1S. Back towards quad. Let's see if he can boost up and actually find something. He has been spotted initially. Those flashbangs, they work both ways. And with the smokes placed, once again, a bomb site, it's very hard to take, especially when you've got a couple of flashes to get yourself back into this one. Engine finally taps those digits in, and the smokes are yet to fade. A couple of wallbangs, those don't connect. Practically lining up, so could be heavy damage, and with Panics finding even more, Logic Man is stuck in the open. He needs to do something wonderful, sensational, if he's going to get this one done. Straight between the lines, and Panics eats him alive.
Panics is just so good on Vertigo, isn't he? Look at him posturing and everything. A little bit of a victory lap for him. Cracks off so many impactful frags. Even in just that one round, getting 2 with the AWP. 1 on the retake as well. So important. Now Sangal, realistically, down 7 rounds. They can't afford to just do economic damage. The likes of which they haven't been doing much of anyway in these last few. They need to find impact. They need to find their frags and get more bomb plants on the server. They simply put need to win more rounds of Counter-Strike, Squid, and they aren't doing that so far, especially without an AWP in Logic Man's hands.
Talking of frags, Scrunk, Panics, they've got 30 between them. That's impactful as well. Still on the subject of the fragging power Remore. He's gone a little quieter here on Vertigo, whereas a star-studded performance on Nuke, definitely the best in the server for either squad. 9-2 though. He hasn't showed up. Remember, he was above the 30 frag mark, doing the job of 2 players on that second map. He takes the initial face, only 7 so far. Flashbangs to support. They'll get their way up side ramp. And with Crystal taking the face once again, that's it controlled. Crimbo drops. They are trading it evenly. Sandbags needs to be contested, contained with an incend. Sprayed right through. Crystal gets dealt more than he deals.
Gonna be a quick take.
Will be. Flashes over. Crystal. That was a tertiary headshot as well. He's done enough damage, and that gives Panics enough time to get back to quad to hold with the AWP and Stefan to go for the rotate. He'll be here incredibly quickly. They can watch, wait with the nades, and incend over the top. That one pops. On this bomb site, it'll whittle even more time off the clock. They have to play on top of this one. Paz looking over towards heaven, waiting for the AWP to make a mistake. Instead to Elevator. He'll take the secondary approach for the nade to hit even more. They don't expect it.
Attacks to 10, and it's off the back of this impeccable utility usage. Their grenade belts feel like they're a 6th man for this German roster. So much damage. You highlighted it earlier. 50 to 100 consistently every single round. Impossible to understate how important that really is. And every time Sangal get a look in with a man advantage, which historically is how they win these rounds, especially on T side, they get shut out, mostly by that utility, and especially by a player like Scrunk or Crystal stepping up when it matters most, multi-fragging, dealing damage.
And let's be honest, all of these 1vx situations are going the way of Attax. That's just another one to add to the tally.
Yeah,
Ramp.
absolutely.
Unreal.
Sangal defaulting towards A again. This hasn't been the answer for them. They need a new look.
And how can they challenge Panics? He's been so good with the AWP. It's another one. Logic Man needs to trade. He does. That's on ramp. Where it comes from, Scrunk, they don't know. It's behind the scaffold, which they can't fire through. Apparently, Major's going to take the swing onto short and at least find a one-man advantage on the A bomb site. Still nades. Still a storyline. Crimbo's got that HE. Can he prevent the plant? I'm not sure. It'll be Paz with 56 points of health to try and get it done. And they're expecting the nades, but they won't come through. Instead, he bails in. Crimbo still has a full belt in the 1v2.
Look at his positioning as well. He's being so sneaky here, moving in from short. Sangal might realize this, though. They might make the call to go to B instead. No footsteps made just yet.
Oh my lord, he's so close in behind. Very narrow onto the A bomb site before they rotate elsewhere. The footsteps heard, they've got the information. And Crimbo playing this one slower this time. They think they've got the read, but can Crimbo change it up? Apparently not. Going towards mid-window. He's now on the boost. Going into B. It's the first time that it's realistically been planted towards this side of the map. They're playing the same angle towards the stairs. Major 34, he's the weak point of this defense, of this after plant. Those nades won't connect. Utility falling foul for the first time. That smoke grenade, though, might be all he needs. He's got the kit to try and bait this out. The full HP player drops and he finds everything. That's unbelievable. There comes the defuse.
It's so much time as well with that kit. He had everything he needed. Didn't even need the flashbang. The 1-on-2 masterclass from Attax, from Crimbo, who otherwise just hasn't had as much impact in this map. But those last two frags, they absolutely ruined Sangal. 11-2.
Unbelievable. That is unbelievable. You never expect it to happen. I was just talking about the 1vx situations, Pronogo, and we see another 1v2 come through for Crimbo.
This man is on fire. This team is on fire. This doesn't look competitive at all from Sangal, and they need some opening frags and then some just to remain in this series.
Absolutely. Even 11-4 doesn't feel like it's good enough. The Molotov's in, and Crystal has been spotted behind the sandbags. Damage dealt. He's down to 16 and trying to play right over the top, knowing they've already taken this bomb site, even if they lose it. They've got enough money just about to buy into the next. It will be janky. But Stefan wants another 1 versus 3. And he's already opened it up. There's an incend. They've been playing these perfectly. This time shut down by Pass. He's tired of it.
He's finally recovered an AWP for Sangal as well. You saw Stefan's confidence in that 1-on-3 scenario, pushing through a hostile smoke as soon as he heard that bomb start to go down. He was even able to potentially cancel it with that incendiary, just a little bit too slow on the draw. Good attempt, though, and it will be a bit of a scrappy buy. Remember, Attax have traded a lot of players in the latest. That's how we get into those 1vx's in the first place, so maybe Sangal can get that fourth. It's just the ultimate consolation prize, even if it does come through.
Absolutely. Smoke's placed, ramp closed. Emor, he was the star player earlier in terms of comparatively in the server.
Just nobody fragging for Sangal either. Got 2 members on 10. That's the best they can do.
And even if they step up now, is it too late? That's a big question. I think so. 11-4, very poor. T-side of Vertigo. T-side of Nuke. Yeah, we've got a way back, but not this time. Quick kills. CA bomb site cracked and alternate attacks. They now need to hold it up one more time against the snipers. The flashbangs again are perfect. Logic Man had an absolute avenue opened for him. Leaves Crystal running and gunning with the SMG. How it's best utilized. Crimbo again needs to be the point man. He's playing right in behind, but as he falls his teammates elsewhere, I think he might be a little late to the party. He's got his hat on, maybe a balloon, but the M4A4 and no kits to be found. He wraps around, has short, loses his teammates elsewhere, and Emor still wants to play around the smoke, spotting the shadows.
Okay, Sangal scrape by with a fourth, and it was scrappy. Attacks were still in even that round. They have looked interminable in this particular half. The fact that they get 11, do one better than on Dust 2, which already looked like the most dominant half we would see from either team in this whole series, just keeps delivering in that respect. We switch over to Attacks. They only need 5 rounds to take this whole series on the T side. See if their slow pace avails them that. But Sangal, they need to do some serious talking and thinking about what they can possibly do to get the momentum back on their side.
Such an interesting series in that sense. We talked about it, that veto right from the start, a flip of script. We were expecting Attax to go to Dust 2, they didn't. It was Sangal to go to D2 instead. They went to Nuke, in fact. Both teams taking each other's map picks. We go on to the home grind, the handshake of Vertigo.
It's an impressive handshake as well for Attax to grip so strongly. You just don't expect them to have done their research and development on this map in particular. They've had such disappointing showings in the past that I was ready to write this one off as a Sangal victory. I thought for sure this goes to 3 maps, it's Sangal. Attax need to finish it in 2. The veto looked good for them initially, but Nuke absolutely did not. So especially considering momentum, we needed to see Attax take the reins, the German squad to march on, and if they couldn't do that realistically in the opening half, they weren't going to be able to do it at all for this one. They do, and that means Sangal have such a tough job. Work cut out for them if they want to make this look competitive, if they want to even save their dignity.
Taking a brief pause before half number 2 of our final map today. Just a pistol to come.
Yes, indeed. We have to wonder as well where the heads are at for that Space Soldiers core. Major in particular leading this team. Coach Hardstyle from back in those Space Soldiers days as well. A lot of these members of the Turkish squad, they've been playing CS for quite a while. Almost as long as perhaps Crystal.
Most notably playing together for over 3 years in some cases. That's a long time in Counter-Strike where teams, cores form and fall apart in the matter of 6 months.
At this point, Attax have looked much sharper. That recovery, certainly impressive. One of the things I want to keep track of as well is if they can maintain that momentum even if they do drop the pistol. Drop so many rounds that realistically Sangal, okay, they get 3 early on. They're still down by 4. It's not like it's going to be an easy comeback by any means for this Turkish squad. If the Germans can keep their heads cool, might be able to see them close this one out in style even, which is not something you would have said coming out of Dust 2 in particular. Even though they won the map, it didn't necessarily look convincing. It looked more like Sangal lost than Attax won. This is anything but that.
These extended mid-map pauses is something that we've seen multiple times. On Nuke, for instance, Alternate Attax called it for almost 5 minutes between the halves, obviously to discuss not just this pistol, but how they're going to close out this series in general. On Nuke, it was a different storyline. They had to come back after that first half. They're ahead, advantage in hand.
We are going to get into this pistol right now as well, Squid. Attax up so many rounds here. 11-4. All the pressure onto the Turkish squad. Sangal will invest. Logic Man, a couple of nades as well. Engine, HE, and a kit. Everybody else with Kevlar. On the T side, bit of a contrast here. In fact, this looks very similar to the T side opener from Sangal. We're going to have to see if they like a taste of their own medicine coming in. 2 Molotovs, the difference maker for Attax. Certainly going to be pivoting towards A here. Emor lurking out ladder already.
They've got a game plan in mind right outside of this curly letter. Of course, Sangal, yes, they are set up towards A, but that is not where the main brunt of this push is coming through for the Germans. They're elsewhere. Emor already taken that advantage from behind. It's got all of the intel. That ramp hasn't really been countered just yet. As they play inside of Hell, going for this boost. It's Crimbo's Glock, the first to face. They'll go for the double boost. They'll both jump at the same time and play this one in conjunction with one another on B. Emor still info. Mid controlled, but that's not where the push is coming through here. We'll see those nades rain over the top. The B bomb site. That's the approach. They need to radio in for these reinforcements as the Glocks come in. Bombs should go down here without any contest. And how do the USPSs get over the top? It's that utility, this time from Sangal, as the flank gets found. Both fall on the approach, and they're playing up close and personal to the smokes. Stefan doing the job. That's the justice delivered. It's Logic Man falls.
Only a single member dying on the side of Attax on a T side. The pistol going their way. The nail in the coffin for the Turkish squad. They barely get anything. No action found. And with the investment that they put into the pistol as well, what can they realistically do here? They have to force. They have to get it back on the board. It will be indeed. And not even a scout either. Emor going for the MP9. Aggressive positioning required. Many frags needed because Attax are equipped.
Talking of many frags, Panic's 21-7 right now, keeping a constant eye on him.
He's really come to life so far. Such a turnaround from Nuke, where he was basically invisible. Now we get to see what he's really made of in Vertigo, and the exec is coming in onto A.
He scrunked the first to face. That's from short. Instant kill. Major to drop and nobody to respond. Ramp firmly in the Germans' hands. They'll play this with the SMGs.
Scrunk is so proficient with those MAC-10s, those MP9s. Considered lesser weapons by some, not by him.
And not by Panics either. He's got the corner. The A site temporarily taken. Sangal want to retake before the bomb even goes away. It's the MP9 to do so. Emor, he's doing everything. Once again gets traded. That's sensational from Attax.
Even though there's no bomb plan, it looks so good from Attax. They dropped 3 players, but still somehow eke out the win. They were so slow on the take as well. Symptoms of dust too, and yet somehow Sangal don't bite it hard enough. They don't rotate quickly enough. This might be an early demise for the Turks in this third map.
Really felt like Emor had a chance as well. He was stuck on shore, MP9 in hand. Outmaneuvered all of his opponents, but older than Attax, they do not care. When they've got the AK-47s in hand, they're going to take your faces off.
Absolutely the case. Just remember as well, do or die every single round, and Sangal have no investment going into this. They drop this one, that's what we would predict. Looking at 4-14, a 10-round difference on the cards if Attax take the round that they're favored for.
Complete flip of script as well. We thought this would be a dominant Sangal performance. We've not seen much of the Attack side on Vertigo especially. So here, pressure up, big tournament, best of 3, map 3. They're able to pull it through. That's impressive.
So good. Attack slowing things down as well. Emor answers back with 1. That's the only frag that Sangal have found.
Nothing else as well. These pistols have been punished. Over towards the ramp. Alternate Attacks looking to finish onto 14. Should be easy. I'll take this one slowly. Should be. Shoulda, coulda, woulda. That's what we talk about so much in Counter-Strike. Grimbo to take the initial face. Galil in hand.
Emor needs to go nuclear here. There's no other way. He needs to, realistically, mirror his nuke performance. This time only with a deagle. And the positioning is so bad from Sangal as well.
No, he's been spotted. That's engine to drop, and as you said, it's Emor to go nuclear or bust. Gets sprayed down through these boxes, hasn't even got the HP to work with Crimbo to punish from atop.
Beautiful. Attacks impressing every single round, each one looking more dominant than the last. An explosive pistol, change of pace targeting B immediately, throwing their opposition off guard. Certainly no way to expect that, especially on Vertigo. We know how important ramp control is. It's so pivotal that you can move to any position of the map you want if you have that particular angle locked down. Sangal not able to do it. Maybe the double ops are going to be the difference maker. That's why they didn't invest into that last round. They needed these snipers. They need to start delivering 4-14 attacks.
And especially towards the aforementioned ramp, that's where they'll play with the first. Emor especially. We saw it on Dust too. He's gone quiet, especially in terms of the AWP since then. And he won't be going for the aggressive initial faces. Nades favoring Sangal.
If Attacks take this round, it'll be the only time Logic Man even has an AWP in his hand. He's already starting to get spammed down as well. Position exposed, and Attacks know where the first sniper is.
That's so cheeky from Crystal as well. Knows that there's an AWP hold in the corner, and his lack of mobility with the sniper means he can't move. Goes for the spray through the railings instead. Finds damage. It's not really the massive advantage they were looking for, but Logic Man still 69 HP. One headshot with the M4 could take him down. Or the Galil, in fact. I'll play them towards ramp. Made over the top, and Emor able to find it. We talked about this earlier for alternate attacks. They use AWPs, really firing to ignition with Paz finding another one instead. Smoke down, prevents the molly. There's nothing to be done with the bomb dropped in the open, and Paz can just hide behind the bags, relying on Major to take the swing. He does, a headshot. This one's over. Panics can't do anything.
Now he's going to look to save that AWP. He's so impactful so far, especially on that CT side. He won't. He'll drop an engine to take him as well. So beautiful. Maybe if Attacks grab that bomb and scarp her off, especially if they can trade onto Engine's flank, they might be able to get onto B, but it's so unlikely. You make so much noise on Vertigo. And that's why A-ramp control is so important. Sangal take it with that double op setup. And that's how they get back on the board. But it's so far from competitive. Still 9 rounds separating our two teams. And still something of a buy from Attax as well. 3 AKs, a Deagle, a MAC-10 up against this double op setup once more.
Yeah, you want to finish this off early if you're Attax. Don't let this scoreline creep closer. Don't let the nerves set in.
And they already are for Sangal, remember. Had to get down to the wire just for this secondary sniper to come out. Had to give their opponents a 14th round. Paz will take the life away. Man up for Sangal.
It's the second time they find that kill through the metal railings. Last time it was the AWP of Emor.
Yeah, assisted by that HE. Utility needs to be as good, if not better, than Attax's on the CT side. Otherwise, Sangal will almost certainly fall in the late rounds.
They could. Ramp. It's Panics to lead the charge. And Major, he might have just made the major mistake. Out in the open, there are the smokes. Sangal need to prevent this, slow this for as long as possible. They're still expectant that there's a sandbags player. There isn't. They're just playing back and passive with the AWP on this A-bomb site. And what a mow down. That was from all angles.
Yeah, both members there on that A-bomb site sounding off. That's Emor and Paz with 2 each. That's how they get into it as well. Remember, of course, tack timeout called. That's probably Attax slowing down the pace again. They don't want that momentum to run away with the CT defenders. Certainly don't want any repeat of what they themselves did to Sangal just the last half. So this timeout comes out, stops any sort of momentum. Hopefully gives Attax a bit of time to talk over their next gun round strategy. That's assuming they don't buy into this with only 2K in the bank. That would be my guess as well. Maybe a couple of nades or something to get them onto a bomb site. Maybe try to pivot towards B once more. Against double ops, haven't found any success towards A, that's for sure.
Yeah, you've got to do something to challenge those snipers. And thus far, it's been pretty empty on the T side once those double ops have come out. A change of pace from Sangal. The score line at the top doesn't really respond to that. It's 14-6. Such a massive half from alternate Attax. It's hard. We can't understate it to make this comeback. But this is the one way to do it. You're not force buying into those initial rounds, just waiting for the double snipers.
Maybe Attax can get a single kill here or use their slow pace, extended timeout, bleed the utility of their opponents, make them pay for every single nade. That's their biggest hope here. That's what they're going to start to do as well. Only investment, the P250 on Scrunk.
Good utility conservation for Sangal. They've kept the overwhelming majority in hand. They've read the economy well. They know that alternate Attax haven't bought.
Maybe that's one of the reasons for the timeout as well, Squid. Remember, Attax are pretty cheeky with these. Might have baited them out with that one, in addition to slowing the momentum down. Should still be a single round with such minimal investment, basically nothing.
Crystal certainly does know how to play the mind games. Engine aggressive. He's playing behind the wood. It's an easy bunch of frags to find. Bomb dropped. Crystal next to fall. He's playing within the smoke. You talked about his cheekiness, and there it is again. That doesn't get any merit.
Now feet spotted on those sandbags. Not how you're going to find any frags, that's for sure. Now, double the score line. Have Attax. Sangal. A couple rounds in a row. Unlikely after the pistol goes the way of the Germans. We certainly don't expect them to come back in this fashion, but with no AWP back on Panax, who has been realistically the top fragger of the entire server, you have to wonder if Attax have what it takes to make this work. 5 rifles against 2 snipers. Not always what you want, especially with Emor so aggressive. He's got so much information now.
Always Crystal taking the compromise. He's got the Galil.
The role of the IGL.
Certainly is. They'll throw the nades over the top. Over towards wood. Doesn't do the damage though. They're able to dodge. Minute 20, ramp control. They want to play both sides of this map. Wait for the mistakes. Going back to the default strat book. Alternate Attax. They play their best Counter-Strike when it's slow as ever. Didn't work on Nuke. This is Vertigo, though, where mistakes can very often come through. The most T-sided map in the pool, some might argue. They're always using those nades towards the sandbags as well. You've got to bait players out of position, and it just means that Sangal cannot even think about playing a member behind there. Usually it's Molotov, and you can kind of throw down your own smoke and get away, but when it's the HEs, you are blasted. And it's good punishment. Panics, top fragger on the entire server to find the first. We doubted him earlier. Nobody's doing that now. as the ramp has been firmly controlled and the rotates are firmly needed. Engine outmaneuvered. He's the only AK-47 for Sangal, so they'll play aggressive with the double sniper instead. Emor again. That was totally blind. All off of game sense. And they'll play the ramp. Trying to maneuver into this one off the back of these smokes. Crystal first in. He's got the solitary Galil and isn't even needed. Logic Man spotted. Back to the pistol for even more damage, leaving it down to Engine from above. Damage dealt, traded.
That's such a messy end round, but it gets to map and series point for Attax. I thought for sure, elevated position, you see the bomb planter, you can almost certainly call that one off and get an 8th on the board for the Turkish squad, down to the wire, and again they buy into the secondary AWP. They know their win conditions in this round, Squid. They need to get every single round, otherwise they are out, and Attax taking a massive lead.
Oh, they certainly have done. 15-7, 8 map points, 8 series points. Trying to close on Vertigo.
Now we see what they want to do as well. They play with your emotions, Squid. They slow it right back down after taking that A-ramp control. There was just not enough utility for Sangal to hold them off afterwards. They baited it out perfectly, just like on Dust 2. Looking to repeat towards B now. So many members of the T side.
You can really read the story for alternate attacks. You can see what Crystal is saying. Certainly wasn't talking about that. Crimbo absolutely executed. They need to respond. Might be through the wooden railings. Knowing the Engine is playing up close. There's the trade.
So good from Stefan. Controlling the spray in that angle. So hard when you get peeked after you're already out of the first couple bullets. Real good discipline from him to find that frag, even us up. Attack still plenty of chances in this round, but not so much utility. Big difference maker compared to the last one that they won.
Yeah, they'll play it towards the middle of the map. We haven't seen this too much so far against AWPs. It's incredibly tough to do. Major holding down the line. Has a flashbang in hand. If alternate attacks peak right now, there is not a guarantee that he can get away from this one, especially if they play it fast. Takes damage. There's the response. Needs to take the peak off the angle. Gets fully blinded up before they plummet into B. Crystal needs to trade it. Doesn't. He falls, leaving it down to Stefan from the rear. Quick headshots. Might even have a chance, but 7 seconds left. This clock is the problem and needs to find these kills right now. It's never going to happen with Paz chasing him down.
Oh man, down to the wire, and Attax's slow pace bites back. Sangal answering back, and now the money not good enough for the T side. Certainly no timeout either. They might have used pretty much all of them so far, remember. Liberal usage coming out of Crystal. Now, it's just going to be pistols again. Single P250 for Stefan. That's it. Sangal should be up to a 9th.
Don't know why they take the most of the time. You could play most of your rifle rounds as a tactical timeout if you're alternate attacks with the slow pace they've been employing this series.
Absolutely the case, Squid. Never doubt for a second attacks are going to be slow, especially when they have no investment like this. Again, trying to bleed the utility out might be effective against Sangal. More a convincing team will just study you and know what you're doing. Maybe they'll even fish for information. Major's done just that from short.
You want to play these rounds slow, knowing that Sangal lost a bunch of players in that previous round. They're low money. Every single penny they have to invest into utility, and now weaponry into the next, is incredibly impactful. They'll plunge with the pistols, picking up an M4 for the angle, another kill, and that is good enough considering this was no investment.
Absolutely. Dropping 2 players there is your dream when all you invested was a P250, and that's what Stefan uses to find the first in that round. Sangal not being disciplined, in fact, overly conservative with that utility, not expecting anything coming out from the Germans. They will pay for that, and that means no secondary AWP, which has been so crucial for Sangal to mount something resembling a comeback. Attacks now on the cards to win this in this round, as they only have to contend with a single sniper on Logic.
You might be fooled, thinking that there's another scope in the server. It's only the AUG. Unreal. Bomb dropped behind of ramp allows Crystal the first frag. They can go anywhere with him playing aggressive. A molly in hand. and a trade can come through if the sniper decides to get aggressive. It probably won't, considering Sangal have no maneuverability. If they lose even one round here, this game could be over, and Crystal able to trade it by short. They found 2 openings. It's the in-game leader putting his team on his back and almost finding a fast flick to finish. A quad kill might end the series in its tracks. Unreal Crystal. It's all down to Engine, and he hasn't got a chance.
He could do nothing in this round. A 1-on-4, and only the M4 to do it with. He's got the right rotate, but there's no bomb plant just yet.
There certainly isn't. It's everywhere. They're everywhere. Alternate attacks able to close, and it's all off the back of the captain we doubted, Crystal. Unbelievable.
Yeah, remember that Crystal was removed from the Godsent lineup in a middle of a disgraced scenario, remember? So the fact that he fires back here upsets Sangal after an abysmal nuke performance by his team, a dominant CT half on both Dust 2 and Vertigo, our first and third maps of this series, and that's how the German squad wins it, pretty much against all odds. We counted them out after nuke because, of course, Vertigo should favor Sangal. They barely post any rounds in the first half.
That's unbelievable as well. That third map really delivering off the back of Crystal, off the back of Panics. His AWPing absolutely sensational. And to see that blast from the past, almost going for that fast, flicky, audacious AWP shot at the end, it's so unbelievable. It feels like we're in 2014 once again when you see Crystal playing like that. Obviously back in that vintage Penta roster, really showing his true colors, and that's why I want to see him more on the AWP as well. Sensational stuff, and alternate attacks really flipping the script of this series, taking their opponent's map pick. We thought that they'd picked us to themselves, and then even being able to flip Vertigo at the very end, a map that we didn't think they had any equity in winning. We were going into this series saying, if this goes to a map 3 and Sangal actually managed to get to Vertigo in the first place, that's where it's a guarantee, and you guys can tune out.
That's exactly what we thought. Remember, we were doing a bit of a mock veto before the show started. We expected maybe Mirage at worst would be the decider, a map that most teams are comfortable on. These two, not really the case. There's sort of an exception to that rule. Even so, the fact that it was Vertigo, this veto threw us all for a loop, and it looks like these two teams were affected by it as well, trading each other's map picks, Sangal not showing up at all on Dust 2, and the mirror inverse of that happening on Nuke. So we didn't know what to expect coming into Vertigo. We certainly didn't expect this.
No, and it felt like that's where alternate attacks, even though they played a comfort map of Dust 2 first, were most comfortable on Vertigo, on both CT and T sides. It was those AWPs to push them ahead, Panics, who we doubted earlier, really stepping up with the snipers, and nobody could punish him. He was 17-3 at one point.
It's just incredible, isn't it? The fact that Panics finds so much impact. You called out Crystal as well, especially that last round, getting 4 frags, closing it out in style. Like I said, I also want to highlight Scrunk in this series because even though he's that veteran player himself, doing that secondary calling, maybe freeing Crystal up in those middle of the rounds to find that aggression, Scrunk himself on the CT side was instrumental in farming up enough cash to keep that economy blossoming. It was absolutely brilliant to watch his aggressive play towards ramp in particular, and then they move everybody around. You called it out earlier, the mobile CT defense from Attax went missing on Nuke, had no impact at all, but on the other 2 maps of this series, that's something to study.
Absolutely is, and what a series as well, really delivering until the very end. Another 3 mapper here for ESEA Premier. We will be back, me and Pronogo, same time, same place, next Tuesday for more Counter-Strike action. Make sure you don't miss it.